I actually, as an Arab, served in the IDF. I was
really embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. I was a commander of a
That's
Jewish
really
soldier.
embarrassing.
Not only that, I fought for my country and I fought for my community and I fought to protect the Arab community, the 2 million Arab community that lives in Israel. Not only it's not embarrassing, I am absolutely proud of my actions to actually fight terrorists. And also, when I was in the
I'm
checkpoint...
done with this conversation.
No worries about it, all good.
No, because I was fine with having a decent conversation with you until I found out you fought in a genocidal army.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Okay. You're ready for, yeah, of course. You're ready for the 3 questions, win $100. Perfect. All right, ready? So we're talking about the Middle East, and the first question is, are there Arab citizens in Israel? Yes or no question. What you have to guess?
Arab citizens?
Yeah. Arab citizens of the State of Israel.
Probably.
Probably. So your answer is yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, you got it right. So first out of 3. Yes, indeed, there are 2 million Arabs who are living in Israel, 1.6 million Muslims, and 140,000 Arab Christians, and 145, and 140,000 Druze Arabs living in Israel. So you got the first one right. Do you think that the Arab citizens in Israel can serve in the IDF?
Yes.
Correct. You're actually absolutely right. Arab citizens of Israel can serve in the army and actually become commanders in the army over Jewish soldiers. All right, so now you're at your 3rd question, and if you get it right, you get from us $100. Name the Arab Muslim who was the head of the largest bank in Israel.
I actually have no clue. That's not yes or no.
Oh, it's not a yes or no questions. There's questions, 3 questions. So you have no idea?
No idea. I couldn't even guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you think it's possible for an Arab Muslim to become the head of the largest bank in Israel? No. You don't know, or you? Or
I have no idea.
You have no idea. All right. So basically, the answer is yes. And the head of the largest bank in Israel, his name, or was his name, was the head of the largest bank in Israel up until a year. His name is Samer Haj Yahya. He's an Arab Muslim from the city of Taibi. And just out of curiosity, do you think that the state of Israel is an apartheid state?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because it's not originally their land.
It's not originally their land.
And they're abusing the people who live there.
So basically, what is the definition of apartheid? Because those 2 things are not related between the originally their land, which we can talk about it, but in terms of apartheid, what is the definition of apartheid, and why do you think Israel is an apartheid state?
We've seen that 98% of you who watch our videos don't subscribe to our channel.
If you support open dialogue and want to see more content just like this, subscribe to our channel now.
Let's do something.
Well, it's like manifest destiny. They think they have a claim to the land over the people who already live there.
Okay.
And what used to be entirely Palestine is now Israel, with a small section now being Palestine.
When was Palestine a state? At what year?
I don't know what year it was a state, but I know the Nakba happened in 1947.
Correct. Before that, which is the Independence War. What happened before the Nakba?
I don't know when exactly, but I know that Palestine was mentioned as a country in even Shakespeare's play. It was mentioned in Othello.
So Palestine is not actually mentioned as a country. Palestine was mentioned as a region in the area of between what we know even greater than that, Syria, Palestina. That was way before. Palestine as an Arab Muslim country was never existed. In fact, if you have information about that, I'd like to know, because I've never seen who was the first president of the Palestinian state, Muslim Arab Palestinian state, who was the first prime minister, what was the army, and what was the flag back then. You know that the Palestinian flag is only from 1964. No. Before that, there was no Palestinian flag. Yeah. So based on that, again, when was Palestine a country that Israel occupied it? Because in 1948, whoever controlled the land, it was the British mandate.
Okay.
And then.
So because it's the British mandate, that makes it okay?
No, hold on. We go from the British mandate, and before that, there were the Ottomans.
Okay.
And before that, and before that, and before that, and before that, way all over until the Romans. Okay. And even before the Romans, do you know who were there? The Jews. Okay. I mean, it's written in all the holy books. Okay. Bani Israel, and of course in the Bible, when Jesus, was born in Nazareth to Jewish mother and a father, and actually he came to Jerusalem to the Jewish people, and obviously before that to the Torah, which indicates that thousands of years Jews lived there. So if I go based on the sequence of the history, from the Canaanites to the Jews. The Canaanites were exterminated, then the Jews, then the Romans, and then you have the Babylon, the Mamlukim, and then you go all the way to the Arabs, and then the Ottoman Empire, and then the British managed it. In all this, when Palestine was a country.
I'm a little confused. So you're saying because it wasn't legally construed as a country, it doesn't count?
No, because what I'm trying to tell you is that the thinking of what Palestine or the current Palestine that you think of today, okay, is not what it is. In fact, it is not actually occupied. Let me explain just...
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Your argument only makes sense if you're talking about legality, because I'm from Pakistan.
Yeah.
And Pakistan was only a country, you know, very recently.
Yeah.
But before then, before it was Pakistan, before it was a part of India, that doesn't mean the people who were living in Pakistan, those different groups, were not already in Pakistan.
Okay.
They just changed the name of
So
it.
basically you're saying, you're actually making a good argument for the Israelis, because Jews were way ahead of any Arab Muslim in the land.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that people aren't arguing the fact that Jews have not historically lived there. People are saying that a lot of the influx of people who are now moving there and claiming to have birthright over that, over people who already lived there. That's wrong.
And I think what you're talking about, especially about Jews who came from Europe and Jews who came from the United States, which they do have tied to the land of Israel. But what about the Jews who were in the Middle East and expelled when they were in Israel, and then they're expelled to Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and then after that they literally were expelled from those Arab countries, and they arrived to the state of Israel, to what we know today as the state of Israel. So basically they came back to their land. The fact that they were expelled from their land does not mean that they're not allowed to come back to their lands. And the fact that people think that Israelis are white, only 30% of the Israelis are white. 70% of the Israelis are not white.
People are not saying that people are not allowed to migrate, because historically a lot of people have migrated. Like in Europe, there's been a lot of Muslims.
But that's not the question.
Am I allowed to speak, or
of course.
Because I also have class, but this has been you talking most of the time.
Of course, there you go.
It has been true that people have been expelled from different places, but that's not just Jews. That's also like Muslims, that's also Christians, like, you know, the Crusades in Europe and stuff.
Yeah.
People are not saying that you're not allowed to migrate back or whatever. But it's wrong to say that you have some sort of tie there when you haven't lived there in hundreds of years over the people who have lived there.
So
For
basically,
example,
just basically saying, so you're saying we should wait hundreds of years and then we can say the same things about the Palestinians?
no.
Why?
That's not
The
what
Jews
I'm
were
saying.
before.
That's not what I'm saying. You're misconstruing what
I'm trying to understand. That's why I asked it as a question and not as a claim. My question is, you're saying that just because they lived hundreds of years, they can't claim to come back and that. So I'm saying, if we go hundreds of years from now, we can say the same thing to the Palestinians. You can't come back. Doesn't matter hundreds of years. It's past the hundreds of years. So it's okay to say
You're
that?
saying that like it's not already happening. So many Palestinians are forced from their households, and their houses are given to people who aren't there. They're forced out of the neighborhoods that they have a historical right to.
So I'm asking.
Their olive trees are burned down. They don't have access to the land that they had access to. You're saying, oh, 100 years from now, like, we're going to see this happen, like potentially if this happens, as if it's not already happening.
So when did that happen to the Jews? You cared less? Or
No,
like,
I'm not saying I cared less.
because the Jews were expelled from the land of Judea and Samaria and whatever we know today as the land of Israel,
Yeah,
which is
but-
between the river to the sea.
Let's say that is true, right? So you're
It is
saying,
true.
okay,
That's the history.
okay. So you're saying the people now,
Yeah.
like 1,000 years later, deserve to be punished for that. But Palestinians who are now being massacred and genocide by people who are still living there are not allowed to be upset about that and say they have a claim back?
They can be upset, and they were offered to so many times as peace.
How were they offered peace?
Partition Plan 1947.
Okay, but I'm talking about now. Even with the ceasefire, they're still getting killed.
You-
Palestinians are not allowed to fish in their own water. They're not allowed to even collect rainwater for drinking.
You do understand that this is totally false. Not only that, because before the 7th of October, Palestinians actually fished, and I have many evidence of that. And Palestinians lived in the territory of Gaza, for instance, without even a single boot of an Israeli IDF soldier on it. They got out of Gaza in 2005. So basically, and then they say, oh, you know what? Well, Israel controls the border, but then you have Gaza, a huge border with Egypt, and they can go and come out, but Egypt is preventing the majority of them of going and coming out. So the claim is to say that Palestinians are not allowed to fish where they are actually fishing before the 7th of October. Today, in the midst of the war, because Hamas tried to invade and take control of
Wait, so
Israel.
you're saying all this is because of October 7th? Nothing
No.
happened before October 7th.
Well,
That's what
there's a
you're
lot
saying?
of things happened in October 7th. In 1947, because everybody's saying, oh, it's not 67, 48. No, they go back. I go back way before. I go back even to when Prophet Muhammad came to the world, which is in the 7th century, and that's about 7 centuries after Jesus was born, and that's thousands of years after the Jews were in the land of Israel. So basic on that sequence, we have Jews been in the land, then Christians, which a Jew, Jesus as Jew, was born in in Bethlehem, and it says in I don't know if you're familiar with a little bit of Arabic, but in the Bible in Arabic they say ولد في بيت لحم اليهودية. He was born in the Jewish town of Bethlehem. So you have evidence in all the holy books. In the Quran, for instance, how many times Jerusalem is mentioned?
It's mentioned a lot, but what is the point you're trying to make?
No, Jerusalem is not mentioned even one time.
I'm
0
talking
times.
about Bani Israel, stuff
Bani
like that. I
Israel-
know what you're trying to say, but...
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to really claim the history, the claim is eventually that the Jews have the right to the land. But put that aside. We moved forward to the modern day, 1947. And in 1947, the UN, because the British mandate was over, they came with the partition plan. The partition plan gave Arab land and Jewish land, with the with more natural resources for the Arab lands. The Jews accepted that partition plan, and the Arabs rejected it, and that's when the war started, and that's when Israel won the independence war, and that's where the Palestinians start calling it the Nakba, the worst disaster that happened to them. And the worst disaster that happened to them, it happened to them because of the fact that the Arab leaders back then, and watch me, I'm not saying Palestinian leaders, I'm saying Arab leaders, because they decided to actually open a war because they wanted everything, and they didn't agree for the partition plan. And one thing about my family, I'm an Arab. I'm an Arab living in Israel. My grandfather lived in a village called Ishjesh. Ishjesh is a village, Gush Khalav, is a village on the northern border of Israel, Lebanon and Syria. And in 48, when the war happened, the Arab leaders from Syria and from Lebanon came to my grandfather, which was a community leader in the community of Ishjesh, and they tell him, listen, move, leave the land, go to Lebanon, go to Syria, 48 hours we will beat the IDF and you can come back to your land. That's what my grandfather told me that what happened. He decided not to leave, and he said, listen, I'm gonna stay in my land, and when the IDF comes, I'm gonna tell them I'm not gonna fight, but I'm staying in my land and don't kill me.
I'm
so
sorry,
basically,
I do have a class, so can you please
Of course,
hurry up the point you're trying to say?
all I'm saying is, the point is that when the IDF came to my grandfather's village, and my grandfather and his community did not fought, they kept their land. It doesn't mean that atrocities of both sides and that Nakba or Independence Day war happened. Of course, it happened from both sides. But the bottom line is that when people bring false information about everything's happening in the history, across the whole history until today, last question, for instance, from 48 to 67, who controlled what we today know as the West Bank and Gaza? Was it Israel?
Even if it was Palestinians?
No, it wasn't Palestinians actually.
Then who was it?
Jordan and Egypt. In Gaza, Egypt controlled from 48 to 67, and the West Bank was controlled by Jordan from 48 to 67. Why didn't they give a country to Palestine? Why they kept that land as Jordanian land and as an Egyptian land? Look how many times they tried to, instead of actually working to a solution, they actually maintained the solution. And then back in the 90s, Bill Clinton said, we offered the Palestinians, and he said that in a live interview, we offered them a full West Bank with even 4% swap territories with Israeli land, and full control of Gaza with a tunnel or a bridge between Gaza and Ramallah to connect it, and with East Jerusalem as their capital city. All those was rejected by the Palestinians. So no, it didn't start from 7th of October. It started way before. And time after time, after time, after time, the Palestinians rejected, because they not talking about having a Palestinian state more than they want to be or to see a destroyed Israeli state.
People in charge are not representative of the average Palestinian. For example, look at Trump. A lot of people oppose Trump being a president, but he's still a president. That doesn't represent everyone there. So let's say what you're saying.
Basically, the majority.
Please speak, because you've been speaking this entire time. I haven't been able to talk. I'm already late for a class, and you've been holding me. Okay.
For sure.
So I'm saying that, let's say what you're saying is true about all this stuff about Palestinians voted for this, Jordan and the other countries did this. Okay, the people in power don't represent everyone here. For example, I didn't vote for Trump, and I don't stand for everything Trump is standing for. That doesn't mean that the people who live there should be punished for whatever everyone else.
But nobody's punishing them.
Okay, you're saying the IDF. Okay, your situation is very unique. The IDF, they said, your grandpa said he's not going to fight, and they left him alone.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the case for everyone.
That's true, and that's on the opposite side as well. It's also true. When atrocities happen, like for instance, 1922, the Hebron massacre of the Jews.
Okay.
You understand? So we can go back and forth. I want to find a solution.
I'm sure it
now the
happens on
solution
both
is
sides, but it's a lot bigger with the IDF doing it to other people. Look at how when they go, they like massacre a bunch of women, children. They massacre.
They
men,
never targeted women and children. They target terrorists who hide behind women and children.
You saying terrorists who hide behind
Yes,
women
Hamas.
and children? Yeah.
Do you think you don't think Hamas is a terrorist organization?
I'm saying that there could be bad people in Hamas, but you saying
No,
that
they're a terrorist organization.
Am I allowed to speak now?
Of course.
Okay. People who say that, oh, there's a terrorist organization, the moment you say that, anyone could be a terrorist the moment you don't like them. Think about it.
I don't know, but when you go in the 7th of October and you massacre people in their houses, that's a terrorist act.
Okay, but not everyone who's doing that. It's like if you kill someone's dad and they become a revolutionary fighter, they're not doing
80% of Gazans agreed on the 7th of October when what happened the 7th of October. 80%.
Okay.
So 80% thinks that the massacre that happened in Israel is okay. And in fact, today, in Ramallah and in Jenin, they're saying the same
the amount of people
thing.
who have died in Palestine is so much higher than the amount of people who have died in Israel.
The amount, because Israel
And they're
protects
all-
its citizens, including the Arab citizens. Why do you think we are protected? Why the Arabs are not being killed in
So
Israel?
are you saying the IDF is good?
I actually, as an Arab, served in the IDF. I was
That's really embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. I was a commander of a
That's
Jewish
really
soldier.
embarrassing.
Not only that, I fought for my country and I fought for my community and I fought to protect the Arab community, the 2 million Arab community that lives in Israel. Not only it's not
Okay.
embarrassing, I am absolutely proud of my actions to actually fight terrorists. And also, when I was in the
I'm
checkpoint,
done with this conversation.
no worries about it. All good.
No, because I was fine with having a decent conversation with you until I found out you fought in a genocidal army.
I didn't fight in the genocide.
Yes, you did. They signed bombs to kill children and women.
In fact, by the way, when we had something like this where we saw women and kids in mass, we got the order never to approach or shoot, and I am a witness for that. I am witness. More
So
than
what's
that,
with all the IDF soldiers who are committing suicide because now they're admitting that they killed women and children?
those IDF committing suicide because they saw the worst atrocities that Hamas did on the 7th of October.
Everything you're
Unfortunately,
saying, I'm just supposed to take everything you're saying at your word.
no, I want you
Versus
to
all the
I want you
evidence
to
I've
research
provided?
the evidence. What evidence you provided?
Okay, fine. Let's find research. Let's meet at a different time.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you further than that. When I asked you if Israel is an apartheid state, you didn't even know what the word apartheid means, and you said immediately land. There's nothing to do with apartheid and land. Apartheid is based on separation, segregation between Arabs and Jews.
like in South Africa.
Do I have exactly? Do you think I, as an Arab, becoming a commander over Jewish soldiers and many others like me, living under apartheid state, do you think that we are 20% of the population in Israel, the Arabs, but we are 30% of the doctors in Israel, 50% of the pharmacists. We have a Supreme Court judges sent to prison a Jewish prime minister.
Okay, but
we have bus drivers. We have sport athletes representing Israel. Arabs actually living in Israel and prospering in Israel. And they're living with
Prospering is a strong word.
They are. It's a very strong word, and I stand by it, and I can prove it to you if you'd let me. But obviously, every time I come and show you videos, for instance, show you the videos of the atrocities of Hamas. How they killed dogs even in the houses, not only human beings.
So you care a lot about dogs, but you don't care about men who are being lined up and shot?
You're literally taking one word of what I'm saying. They killed babies, they killed women and men.
So the IDF does that to us such a high degree.
Hold on. So basically you're saying because...
I'm not entertaining this conversation.
Wait,
I have class.
The microphone, please. The microphone.
Take it, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation anyway, but educate yourself a little bit. I am very well educated in my reality. I live in Israel as an Arab. I fought in the best moral army in the world. Thank you very much. What's her name? Okay, so basically, here's the thing. I want her to continue the conversation and to debate me and to prove me wrong. Oh, it's over here. Okay, it's over here. So I wanted her to debate me more and to prove me wrong. I really wanted that because I want to feel that someone is actually challenging what I say. But you know why they cannot challenge what I say? Because it's the truth. And now, here's the thing. She got emotional. I got one sentence for her. Facts don't care about your emotions. That's how it is. Now, if the facts were with you, then it doesn't matter how much I feel about the IDF, and I love the IDF, if the facts were with you. But the facts is with me. And that's it. And that's why she literally stood up, went again and again and again. I'm having the same thing, unfortunately. Let's go. The next one is online. Yeah.